This is Jarrod Horak, and this is my latest Belmont Stakes video, and this is my final look at the Belmont. I'm going to go through the field, give out my top choice, and a live long shot. Now, the YouTube channel has hit a couple milestones during this Triple Crown season, over 5,000 subscribers now, and over 1 million total views since I've started my channel. So hopefully we can keep the momentum going and keep the channel growing through the rest of 2024. Now, if you're interested in past performances for Belmont Stakes Day, you can get those at todaysracingdigest.com, and they also have their annual complete digest for Belmont Stakes Day at Saratoga, and that includes past performances, analysis, pace and speed ratings, and more. So you can head on over to todaysracingdigest.com for more details. And if you're interested in my annual Belmont Stakes Day full card at Saratoga, you'll be able to get that full card at the runawayhorse.com on my sales page. That full card will be complete later tonight, and viewers of this video, you can get $3 off that Belmont Stakes full card by going to the description of this video. I have a promo code that you can use at the runawayhorse.com on my sales page to get $3 off of my Belmont Stakes Day full card. And I've been doing these full cards for many years online, since the late 1990s. And I've had a lot of success in the Triple Crown series, especially the Belmont Stakes in the last decade. For my full cards, I've had winning tickets in 8 of the last 10 years in the Belmont Stakes. And I'm confident this year as well that I'm going to be doing well in the Belmont Stakes and hopefully having some more winning tickets, and then for that full card as well. So head on over to the runawayhorse.com for more details. And now we're going to get into the analysis of the Belmont Stakes. Now, 2 main things that I'm looking for in the 2024 Belmont Stakes. Which horses are going to excel at 1.25 miles, and then which horses are ready to peak on Saturday. And we're going to try to answer those questions as we go through and look at the past performances in the field. And the Belmont Stakes is going to be the 12th race at Saratoga for Saturday, June 8th. And it's the Grade 1, $2 million Belmont Stakes for 3-year-olds traveling 1.25 miles on the main track. And the scheduled post time is 6:41 p.m. Eastern, and we have a 10-horse field. And the past performances in this video are provided by todaysracingdigest.com. And breaking from the inside post is Seize the Gray, your Preakness winner. He's 8-1 morning line. Jaime Torres will ride for trainer D. Wayne Lucas. This is the son of Arrogate. And now we're going to find out how good he is. This is already his 6th start of the year and 3rd start in 5 weeks. So will he be able to maintain that form? Because I talked about right off the bat, I said, well, the horses that are going to peak this Saturday, and Seize the Gray may have peaked a few weeks ago at Pimlico, and everything went right for him that day. He was able to get out there and control the pace. Morning line favorite Muth, who was expected to be all over the pace, he got sick, he had to scratch out of the race, and then the track came up wet, and it was muddy, and it was speed favoring. And then you had Muth's stablemate, Imagination, from the outside post under Frankie Dettori, looked like the main speed on paper, but Frankie Dettori did not send him out. When Seize the Gray went out, Frankie Dettori let that horse go and control the pace. And over that speed-favoring wet track, Seize the Gray was just able to get out there, control it, and keep on going and win by 2 1/4 lengths. And then he didn't run in the Kentucky Derby, but he ran Kentucky Derby Day on the Kentucky Derby undercard in the Grade 2 Pat Day Mile. And he stalked and he won that day. So now he's won his last 2 starts. As I said, 3rd start in 5 weeks. He handles a wet track, but the weather forecast is looking better. Mostly cloudy. Now it's looking like a 20% chance of rain, mainly earlier in the day for Belmont Stakes Day. So the forecast much improved now. There's a good chance that we could be looking at a fast track. But if it is wet, he's 2 for 3 on a wet track. He's won on a wet track at Saratoga before as well. That was last summer in a sprint race when he went wire to wire. So it seems like now he's gotten aggressive and they like going out there. But the 2 questions again that I said at the beginning, will he thrive at 1.25 miles? I'm still not sure about that. 1 mile and 3/16 in the Preakness. As I said, everything fell into place for him that day. He was just able to get out there, control the pace over a speed-favoring track. His main rival, Muth, probably a horse that was likely to win the Preakness, scratched out of that race. So it softened up the field there, and then Seize the Gray was able to get out there and control the pace. Can he do it again? We're going to find out that. And then I'm not sure that he's ready to peak either. His 6th start of the year, 3rd start in 5 weeks. But he should be all over the pace anyway. Resilience is number 2. And he's one that certainly was starting to get good as the year has progressed this year. In the Risen Star Stakes, after he broke his maiden in January, He caught a wet track there, and he stalked from post 10. He was fourth. Sierra Leone won that one. And then they added blinkers, and that was his best career effort in the Grade 2 Wood Memorial. From the inside post, he stalked, he pounced, he opened up, and he won nicely by 2 1/4 lengths. The Kentucky Derby, he was hung out in post 18. He was making a 5-wide move at the same time that Mystik Dan was saving all the ground, making that inside move. And then he moved all the way up to second. He was right there with the leaders, and then he couldn't keep going in the stretch, and he weakened to finish finished sixth, beating more than 7 lengths. So now it's his third start after a layoff. He had a very nice workout for this one, June 2nd, finished up powerfully in that workout. He's got an inner draw for trainer Belmont. Junior Alvarado is aboard. Now, I'm not positive about the distance, as we talked about. I'm not sure he's going to excel at 1 1/4 miles, but his Hall of Fame trainer Belmont thinks he can get it, or he wouldn't be here. And that's good enough for me to think that he's definitely a possibility to handle the distance. And then Junior Alvarado, got to know him last time. He will ride back. Probably an inner stalking trip is likely. Number 3, Mystik Dan. Now for him, I'm not sure that he's going to excel at 1 1/4 miles, but we know he handles it because in the Kentucky Derby, he got that great inside stalking trip. And I think that was the key to him handling the 1 1/4 miles that day. Saving all the ground behind the speed, scooting right up the inside, opening up a clear lead, getting the jump on the closers, Sierra Leone and Forever Young, and just holding on. Those horses were getting to him. Mystik Dan was getting tired in the late going there. And then in the Preakness Stakes, he had a great trip. And we already knew that he handled a wet track because in the Southwest Stakes, he won that by 8 lengths. And that was his best career speed rating at that time in February. And he scooted right up the inside, and that's exactly what he did in the Kentucky Derby. Then when the Preakness came along, no excuses why he didn't win that race. Even though Seize the Grey was out there, Mystik Dan was sitting a great inner tactical trip. He had dead aim on Seize the Grey in the stretch. He just couldn't go by, and he was getting a little tired late, and catching freedom from off the pace almost caught him for second. So now Mystik Dan making his 3rd start in 5 weeks and his 6th start of the year. So 2 questions again. Does he excel at 1 1/4 miles? No, I don't think he excels at 1 1/4 miles. I think he's probably best at shorter distances, but he can handle it under the right circumstances. And then I don't think he's ready to peak on Saturday either, because I think he already peaked in the Kentucky Derby. So Wine Steward is next, and he's one that I'm not sure that he really wants this distance because he's 3 for 3 in sprint races at 5 furlongs and twice at 6 furlongs. And 2 of those races were against New York bred company. And then in his 3 races, 2 at 1 1/16, 1 at 1 1/8, around 2 turns in those last 3 starts. He was second in all 3 of those races. And in the Peter Pan, his longest race so far, last time, at 1 1/8, he pressed the pace. He had the lead in the stretch. He could not hold off Antiquarian. So now I don't think he's going to get better at 1 1/4 miles. So I think that he probably tops out. 1 1/16 is probably best for the Wine Steward. He can go a little further under the right circumstances. But he is 1 for 1 at Saratoga. He's a quality New York bred. Don't blame them for taking a shot in here. He's one of several horses that like to stalk the pace. And then he's also reconnecting with Manny Franco, who was his winning rider in the Funny Side Stakes at Saratoga last summer. Antiquarian. Now, he's one that I do think he could like this 1 1/4 miles distance, and he is on the improve as well. But I'm just not sure he's good enough. He just might be a cut below the top contenders in this race. So I do think he could be sitting on a career best effort, though. Second in his career debut, and that was a decent effort, a 1-turn mile. And then second time out, the same day that Sierra Leone won the Risen Star Stakes on the wet track at Fairgrounds, this horse at Fairgrounds broke his maiden second time out. And then they ran him in the Louisiana Derby. He was an okay 6th there in an 11-horse field. That was a decent effort first stake start. And then in his second stake start, the Peter Pan Stakes, a nice stalking trip. He was able to outfinish the Wine Steward. He was able to get past that one and win by 3/4 of a length. Solid effort. I think he's trending the right way, and 1 1/4 miles shouldn't bother him. He's more of a grinding, stalking type horse, and he'll just keep coming at you. He doesn't have gears, so I think some other horses are probably a more likely winner, but I think that he's one that definitely could handle a 1 1/4 miles. Now, Dornoch, I think he was better as a 2-year-old, 4 starts that year with 2 wins and 2 seconds, and he did beat Sierra Leone in the Remsen Stakes as a 2-year-old by a nose. But he had everything go his way that day. For Dornoch, it was a wet, speed-favoring track. 7 of the 10 races that day were won in wire-to-wire fashion. Dornoch set the pace. And Sierra Leone rallied from far back, trying to overcome that track bias. But then Sierra Leone ended up, Dornoch ended up coming back on Sierra Leone and just winning by a nose. And those two were well clear of the rest. And then the Fountain of Youth Stakes started his 3-year-old campaign. That was a scratched, watered down field. He was 20 cents on the dollar, and he didn't win as impressively as he should have, considering the competition. And then the Grade 1 Bluegrass. Sierra Leone easily defeated him there. He stalked the pace, and he was 4th in a 10-horse field. Kentucky Derby from the inside post, didn't have the best trip, and he ended up splitting a 20-horse field. So if you look at his form, he's definitely best when he gets up on the pace. So expect him to be all over the pace, along with Seize the Gray from the inside post, because Dornoch doesn't typically run a quality race unless he's up on the pace. So look for that to be the case. Now, I don't think he's going to excel at a 1.25 miles, and I don't think he's ready to run a peak race. Louis Saez is aboard. As I said, he's all over the pace here. Protective, he's still a maiden for Todd Pletcher. Now, I think he should be able to handle this 1.25 miles distance based on his pedigree. He just keeps coming at you, kind of like Antiquarian. Antiquarian seems to be a little more forwardly developed at this point. He was 2nd in his career debut at 6 furlongs. That was at Saratoga last summer. And then this year, they stretched him out to 1.40 miles. He ended up crossing the line 3rd, and he was placed 4th through disqualification. And then they ran him in the Wood Memorial. He was 38-1, and he ended up rallying from 11 lengths back to finish 3rd. Resilience won that one. And then in the Peter Pan Stakes, he stalked the pace, and he was an even 3rd. He was just one pace. He wasn't quickening. He had blinkers in his last 2 starts. Tyler Gaffalione gets aboard. He's 2 for 2 with trainer Todd Pletcher recently. So for Protective, there's multiple stalkers in this race, so I think maybe they're going to be a little more comfortable trying to come from a bit further off the pace. Wouldn't be shocked if he hit the board, but I would really be surprised if he won. Honor Marie, this one is one that he should love the 1.25 miles distance. I don't think that's going to be an issue, and he should be ready to run a better race than he did in the Kentucky Derby. But there's still questions for him because he hasn't won since he was a 2-year-old, and he won twice as a 2-year-old, including the Grade 2 Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes, when he went last to first at Churchill Downs. His first start this year in the Risen Star, he was 5th, 6 lengths behind. Sierra Leone won that one. And then in his next start, the Louisiana Derby, he rallied to finish 2nd by a length. Catching Freedom was the winner there. And then Catching Freedom was 4th in the Kentucky Derby, 3rd in the Preakness. And then Honor Marie was 8th, beaten 13 lengths in the Kentucky Derby. He did not have a good start. He did not have a good trip. Not an awful effort there, considering that 20-horse field. So for Honor Marie, look for him in the late going. He's not the best closer in here. That's probably the next horse I'm going to talk about. But he's one that I think if you're playing exotics, you can use Honor Marie. Sierra Leone, he certainly fits all the patterns to be one of the more likely winners in this race. It does seem like he could be sitting on a peak effort, and he should excel at a 1.25 miles. He didn't have any trouble with it in the Kentucky Derby. And he's run well in all of his starts. 5 starts, 3 wins, and 2 nose defeats. He won his career debut in a 1-turn mile, and then they jumped him right into the stakes ranks in the Grade 2 Remsen. And that was, as I said, that muddy, speed-favoring track. He was 12 lengths back early and last. He made a big move, and then Dornoch was able to come back on him, and he just missed by a nose. Then they added blinkers this year, and he won the Risen Star Stakes in the slop nicely, rallying from 9th in a 12-horse field. And then in his next start, the Grade 1 Bluegrass, he rallied from 9th in a 10-horse field to win that one going away. And then in the Kentucky Derby, everybody knows what happened there. He was my top choice, and I really thought he was going to win the Kentucky Derby. I was very confident this year. And he rallied from 18th place in a 20-horse field, made a big move in the stretch. Mystik Dan was clear. Sierra Leone and Forever Young were getting to him with every stride. It was a 3-horse photo finish, noses apart. And Mystik Dan just did hold on over Sierra Leone and Forever Young. And Sierra Leone lugged in the stretch. Everybody knows it. And he was all over Forever Young there. And if he would just been able to keep a straight course, he would have won the Kentucky Derby. So right after that, Chad Brown said, I'm just going to wait for the Belmont Stakes. Send him up to Saratoga early, get him prepared for the race. And I've been watching his workouts. He's been working inside of his workmate, domestic product. Hasn't been lugging in, and they've changed his bit, and they changed his rider to Flavien Prat. They paid $2.3 million for this son of Gunrunner. He's done nothing wrong. He's the one to hold off late. And finally, Mindframe. He's one that I'm not quite sure what to do with. He's only run 2 times, broke his maiden by 13 lengths, stalking the pace in his 7 furlong debut on March 30th. And then on May 4th, mile and a 16th Kentucky Derby undercard on a good track, he controlled the pace. There really wasn't any pace going on, and he just kicked away. Big late pace ratings in both of his wins. He was the favorite both times. Now he's got the outside post. That's probably a good thing because Jarrod Ortiz Jr. can watch the pace develop from his inside. Most likely sees the gray and Dornoch go. Mindframe could find himself right there, either sitting third or very close on the outside, waiting to pounce, possibly getting the first run. Don't know if he wants to go a mile and a quarter. Would not be surprised if he did. Wouldn't be surprised if he ran a big race and he was ready to peak and run his best race yet. Just not sure if he's ready for all of this in just his third lifetime start. So he lacks the seasoning, but he has a ton of raw ability, and I would not count him out under Jarrod Ortiz Jr. And Todd Pletcher, his trainer, he has 3 horses in this race. He also has Antiquarian and Protective, and he's had a lot of success in the Belmont Stakes over the years. Now, Pletcher is one that he always points to the Kentucky Derby, and a lot of times his horses underperform there, but in the Belmont Stakes, they typically show up and run quality races. So I would expect that the Pletcher horses are ready to go. It's just a question of, are they good enough? Now we've gone through the whole field. We've talked about which horses might thrive at the distance, which horses might be able to peak as well. The horses that I think will handle the distance: Antiquarian, Protective, Honor Marie, and Sierra Leone. Those are the horses that I'm sure are going to get the mile and a quarter distance, but I think Protective and Honor Marie more underneath. Antiquarian could be an upsetter, and then Sierra Leone, your most likely winner. And then which horses are ready to peak this week? Now, I think horses like Seize the Gray, he already peaked. He's already run 5 times this year. And I also think that Mystik Dan already peaked as well. And some of the horses that could be sitting on a peak effort, Resilience is one. He had a good pattern of development heading into the Kentucky Derby, and then he had a bad post and wide trip. And then Sierra Leone, lightly raced, good race spacing. I would expect that he is also ready to run a quality race. And my top choice in the 2024 Belmont Stakes is going to be Sierra Leone. He just seems to have everything going for him. I think he's the best horse in here. Looking at the sheets numbers and everything else, he's just the fastest horse based on his last 2 starts. And I think that Sierra Leone, if he can just keep a straight line in the stretch, I'm not too concerned about lugging in. He's lugged in and won before. Hopefully they've trained that out of him, but with the bit, training him inside of horses. Hopefully as he continues to get experience, he won't do that anymore. And maybe he won't do that under Flavien Prat. We'll have to see. But I think there's enough pace in here that Sierra Leone runs past these. He wins the Belmont Stakes, and he will be the leader of this division heading into the second half of the year. And my live long shot in this race is going to be number 2, Resilience. He's one that he ran a quality race in the Derby, deceptively good, but he just got tired late. And I'm not 100% sure he can get the distance, but I said I'm going to trust Belmont that he's putting him in this race. Resilience, I can see him stealing Mystik Dan's Kentucky Derby trip. He has post 2, Mystik Dan has post 3. They both have similar tactical running styles. So Resilience can be one that can just hug the rail, save ground behind the speed, and maybe he'll be able to get the jump on the closers. And the other good thing is if you like Mystik Dan, he's 5-1. Resilience is twice the price. He's 10-1. He's fresher. He's a graded stakes winner. So he seems one as a live long shot that you might want to throw into at least exotics in your Belmont Stakes wagers. So that's my look at the 2024 Belmont Stakes. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this horse racing content. And hopefully, as I said, that this YouTube channel continues to grow, over 5,000 subscribers, over 1 million total views. And let's keep that momentum going through the rest of 2024. Now I'm going to be back. I'm going to do a Belmont Stakes recap video. And I'm going to be doing all kinds of different videos later this summer from Saratoga, Del Mar, some handicapping videos, all kinds of stuff planned for this YouTube channel. And good luck at the Belmont Stakes. And until I see you next time, good luck at the races.